Hi! Today's video I wanted to talk about sustainability and food. I think a lot of people have the idea that because they're just one person that they don't have the power to have any environmental impact, but the things that we buy each day, whether they're necessary things or unnecessary things, all have different environmental impacts, and some are more sustainable than others. And one of these main things is food, which of course everyone buys, but I wanted to give some suggestions on ways that you can change your eating habits or the types of food that you buy in order to reduce your personal impact. And even if it's just one person, hopefully the goal is to spread these types of more sustainable food purchases and eating habits to many people so that it grows and does have an impact on the environment. The first part of this video probably is going to sound a little preachy, but the number one way that you can have an environmental impact, not just about food, but in your entire life, the biggest way that you can reduce your emissions and greenhouse gases, number one is not having another child. Number two is going vegan, so stop eating meat. The worst environmental agricultural polluter is beef specifically, but meat in general is much more agriculturally intensive and polluting and wasteful than fruits and vegetables and other vegan foods are. So stopping eating meat is a really great way to eat more sustainably. Also, this includes non-dairy milk and non-dairy products. If you look at the environmental impact and production of dairy milk compared to milk made from almonds, oats, soybeans, all the other types of non-dairy milks, the least environmentally friendly one by far is dairy milk. I feel like there's definitely been a campaign, probably by the dairy industry in recent years, of how almond milk isn't that great for the environment. Even almond milk that is somewhat water intensive is nowhere near the water intensive production of dairy milk. So any type of non-dairy milk is a better choice. Now, eating vegan, I have a couple of sources for this. I'm sure I'm going to include a bunch of stuff on screen here, but even compared to local meat, if you're getting meat from a farmer that is right down the road from you, it's still much more eco-friendly to not eat meat at all. However, the best of both worlds would be to not eat meat, and for the food that you do buy that local. So farmers markets near you are a really great option, just because you know for transportation costs, in that way it's easier on the environment because you're not having to ship food from all corners of the world to you. And also, just looking up like food brands that are made in your area or even in your state and seeing what those brands are and keeping an eye out for those at the grocery store if for whatever reason you can't or won't be going to a farmer's market all the time, which it's not sustainable to get all of your food at farmer's markets. At least it isn't for me. And I know that's probably the case for a lot of people, but I do like to go sometimes. But looking up like certain beverages or certain breads or like snack foods, or just keeping an eye out for brands that are made in your state when you are at the grocery store, so you know that they are local. Another thing I've talked a lot about is eating seasonally. I've made a couple videos specifically about this. Choosing fruits and vegetables, especially that are in season, is another good way to make sure that you're not having to have foods shipped from a super far away location to get to you. And a good way to do that is to eat foods that are in season, because there's a pretty good chance that me in the Midwest in fall, when I am buying apples, that they're from somewhere close by. They're certainly from somewhere close by if I get them at the farmer's market, but there's also a good chance that they're from a local farmer in the grocery store too, because apples grow in fall in the Midwest. And in general, I try and avoid buying specialty fruits and vegetables, even if I'm not like super strict about eating seasonally all the time. Like occasionally I'm buying like kale in the summer. Well, kale is kind of a year-round. It's one of the few produce items that grows still in the winter time, so I think of it as a winter vegetable. And same with like potatoes and some other roots, but a good example would be like berries, which are a summer and spring sometimes fruit. Eating those in the winter isn't like the absolute best option, but that's still better than eating like exotic fruits that are just 100% not sold near you at all. Like something like, sometimes I see at the grocery store like dragon fruit, like there is just zero chance that that came from anywhere near me, because I don't live in that type of climate. So I try not to buy fruits like that. Not never, but close to never. Try and cut down on those types of items. A really good way to kind of combine a lot of these tips together into one, like eating seasonally, eating local, and kind of the idea of a farmer's market, is signing up for a CSA box. This is kind of like how I think Imperfect Produce, you know, that company, or Misfits Market, there's a couple of companies that speak to local farmers and they take produce that they're not able to sell elsewhere, and they get like a box together of ugly produce, or produce that's just like a little bit off, or for whatever reason is not accepted to be sold elsewhere. Those, I like that idea, like I think it's good in practice, but I think you could just skip that step and sign up directly from a farm near you. If you just search for CSAs near you, there should be at least a couple. They're all over the country, and you can just go pick up a box of produce that is in season and the farmer wasn't able to sell it elsewhere. So it's kind of combining like a bunch of good ways to get your food that are all very environmentally friendly into one, and you get to like try new produce that you might not originally. I know a lot of farmers near me sell patty pan squash in their CSA boxes when it's in season, and without signing up for a CSA box, I don't even think I would have ever heard of patty pan squash. And my last recommendation is just paying attention to packaging and avoiding super packaged things where possible. Just like in the day and age that we live in, it's kind of hard to avoid food packaging completely. Like zero waste grocery shopping is pretty difficult. I try and incorporate it where I can. Like in general, in the produce area, instead of getting the spinach in a bag, I just get the loose bunch of spinach. And like instead of getting a bag of apples, just individually picking out the apples. In other aisles of the grocery store, aside from produce, it can be a little bit harder. Everything is packaged nowadays, so I feel like the produce section is usually where you'll have the best luck trying to avoid packaging. But if possible, like for example rice, I buy my rice in a cardboard box rather than in a plastic bag, just to try and avoid plastic. So just paying attention, like, oh, that really looks like it's super packaged. Maybe I could try a different snack instead. Or maybe I could try to somehow make this myself, like buying a plastic bag of granola. Maybe you could bulk buy some oats and nuts and other items like peanut butter and make your own granola at home. I really like doing that, and it's more sustainable. So just keeping an eye out for ways that you can make slight differences. I think all of these together can help reduce your personal environmental impact and just like make you feel good about the types of food that you eat and what you're supporting with your purchases, knowing that you are supporting more environmentally friendly food choices. So those are all of my recommendations for this video. Let me know if you have others in the comments, and thanks for watching.